Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and with me, as always, is Mike Honcho here. Last night, Mike wasn't on the show because, we had a late decision to try to make up for what happened last week. We didn't do an episode last week, so we're doing back-to-back episodes this week here. Last night, I had Juicy on the show, and we talked about the Big Ten preview. If you want to talk with us about the Big Ten preview, you can just go on there, leave some comments, and we'll see whether we agree or disagree on what you say. All right, without further ado, please welcome Mike Honcho, everybody. How you doing today, Mike?
Great, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. You know that we both paid our tuition today. It was a kind of a sad day. Yep, always, huh? Always a struggle.
Always.
Well, now let's get down to business here about the Pac-12. There's a couple of reasons why the Pac-12 should be talked about this year, because some people think that the Cardinals, the Stanford Cardinals, could have a run for the 2016 National Championship. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be, but some people think that the Pac-12 will be outside on the playoff altogether. How you see do you see any Pac-12 teams making in the playoff this year, Mike?
I could possibly see it happen. There's a couple of good teams in the Pac-12 this year.
The two teams that come off my head, I think Oregon could possibly come back and have a better year than they did last year, Oregon wasn't where they were last year. I think they might rebound this year. Same thing with Stanford. Stanford, I think, they got Christian McCaffrey, who was a dominant player last year. It'll be interesting to see how all that goes,
Yeah, and that's one reason why I believe Stanford to be recognized, and they do have a great player in their backfield.
Yeah, and also of note, Stanford's only lost 9 conference games since David Shaw came to be the head coach here, and they have lost a good bit of people. It'll be kind of interesting. They might take a small step back this year, but I really don't know how it's all going to go down here. But it's going to be very interesting to see here. The South Division will be very interesting. You got UCLA and USC, who are always rivals, and they will be rivals until it's over with. How you see USC and UCLA getting their seasons being played out this year?
I think UCLA doing pretty decent. I think USC might surprise something, and they might do actually pretty well this year. I just think USC probably will finish the season with a better record. UCLA will.
Okay, so you think USC will have the better record than UCLA, or?
Yeah, I think USC will have a better record.
Okay. Questions that will shape the Pac-12. Stanford had lost a lot of people. They are only returning 9 starters on both sides of the ball. And they got Christian McCaffrey, who is one of the front runners to win the Heisman this year. Keller Christ needs to replace Kevin Hogan at quarterback. How fast do you think Stanford will be able to reload? Do you think they'll even have a chance to win the Pac-12 this year again?
I think they'll have a chance of winning it. They're a good team, and even though they lost a lot of good players, they still have Christian McCaffrey, and that's the best part out of it. I mean, it's not going to win every game, but it's really going to be good for the game.
But I know Stanford, over the last 5 years in recruiting, their average recruiting ranking in the classes is 22.2, and that's just a few spots behind Oregon. Stanford won 12 games last year, did not make the playoff. But do you think Stanford does enough with everybody being replaced to make the playoff, or do you think they miss it again this year?
I think they fall just short of it.
Do you think it'll be like their next year's their year, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you give a team at least 1 year or 2 to improve, then I mean, most of the time, unless they're really meant to be, the team that kind of fresh won't win on its first year. So I think next year might be their year.
That'll be very interesting to see how all that goes. And some people have been talking about in the North Division, Washington. They're thinking Washington's going to be the champion of the North Division. Um, Washington State and Oregon were considered to win the championship in the North Division this year. How you see Washington being able? They did win the Heart of Dallas Bowl over Southern Miss, and they won 7 games last year. Do you think they'll be able to improve to reach the top 10?
I think they will.
They are returning 7.
Southern Miss, beating Southern Miss is a pretty big deal. It's not really all that great of a big deal, but I mean, I think improvement will come, and I think they probably will have a better season than they last year.
Washington is returning 17 starters from last year. Jake Browning and running back Miles Gaskin will lead the offense, and the defense will return the best of the Pac-12, which limited opponents to 18.8 points in 2015. Washington does have road trips against Utah, Oregon, and Washington State, but Stanford visits them in September 30th in a game that could decide the North, who wins the North. So do you think Washington makes a trip toward possibly getting a 10 wins this year?
No, not this year.
Not just yet?
No.
Okay, well, let's see. All right, now the top 2 teams in the Pac-12 South that people have predicted is USC and UCLA. Who do you think wins the Pac-12 South, USC or UCLA? USC. Clay Helton guided USC to the South Division title last season, so you think they'll repeat as champions?
I think so.
I could agree with that. Clay Helton did pretty good last year, and Jim Mora's been pretty good themselves, despite Jim Mora doing pretty good for UCLA, Let's see. Oregon and Washington State. Do you think Oregon can kind of get back to what they were? I mean, not just last season, but the year before, go and play for a national championship. Do you think Oregon's got a chance at it?
I think their time has kind of ran out. I mean, I don't think they're going to completely just go away, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. They're going to be a pretty good team this year, but I just don't see it.
Well, we got some rebuilding going on in 2 programs, Arizona and Arizona State. Arizona's coach Rick Rodriguez revamped his defensive staff after the unit allowed 35.8 points in 2015. Both programs from Arizona and Arizona State combined for a 13-13 record. Well, they haven't been far removed, both of the Sun Devils and the Wildcats. They both went to the Pac-12 championship game. Sun Devils did it in 2013. Wildcats did it in 2014. But do you think they'll make a step ahead, or will they just get back?
I think that's just get back.
Okay. All right, let's look and see what the over-under is on these Pac-12 predictions here for records here. We will give who we think is going to win the conference. I'm going to say whether Mike's going to either say, I'll say like a record for Washington. Like if there'll be like 8-4, Mike will give his opinion on whether or not they'll be 8-4 or not, be higher or lower. But let's see here. Okay, Washington, they got them projected nationally ranked number 11. Washington 10-3, Mike, higher or lower?
Slightly lower. They lose one more game.
One more game. You know what? I think I'll agree with you there. I think 9-3 is a good thing for them, even though Washington is returning 17 starters. You don't just automatically shoot up and get in there. They had a good season last year, winning 7 games. I think they'll get back up to 9 wins this year. I think I agree with you, Mike, on the 9-win part. I think they'll be able to get a good run enough to where in the season where they can actually get 9-4, where it's going to be a very the Pac-12 is kind of open this year, to be honest with you. Yeah, okay. Stanford 9-3, Mike, higher or lower? Perfect.
I think that's going to be their exact record.
You know, I don't think Stanford's going to get 9 wins this year. I'm more feeling 8 or 7. I think 7 might be more what I'm leaning towards. They got Oregon to play and Washington and all these other teams here and stuff. So give me I'm kind of feeling 7 for Stanford because they got so much to replace. It's a hard. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he can't do it all by himself. He can't play defense and offense, and that just hurts him.
Yeah, but I think they'll be just fine. I think that 9-3 is a pretty good record.
I think I'm gonna go with 7-5. Stanford's gonna take a step back this year. Oregon 8-4. Mike,
Surprising enough, I could agree with that one too.
you agree with that one too? 8-4.
I don't think that we don't like the team, but I do agree with that one.
I could see Oregon going 8-4. I don't think they're gonna be like as far back as you would think they will be. Oregon's been a team that's been at the top here, but they're coming at number 23 this year in national rankings, so they're in the top 25, but barely. But I think Oregon might have something to prove this year. Last year might have been just a hiccup because a championship hangover.
Yeah.
Usually a team that goes to the national championship game and loses the next season, they have a hangover of some sort. But we'll see if Clemson follows that or not. So Washington State 8-4. Mike, lower.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. I got them going 7-5. What about you?
I got one 6-4. I mean,
6-6. I got them 7-5. Yeah, I mean Washington State. They could be poised to have a good year, but it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a lot for them. To overcome.
it's not really all that fit to be in the Pac-12 as far as football goes.
Yeah.
That's what my opinion.
Cal 6-6.
I actually go lower. I go
7.
5.
I think I'll agree with you there. I don't think they'll make it to a bowl game this year, Cal. I think they'll miss it barely. 5-7. I got them going.
Last year they weren't even all that good, and they had a good quarterback.
Yeah.
He's no longer there. He got drafted in the NFL. So without him, I don't see how they can beat any better.
Yeah, I think 5-7 is a good choice for us. Like you said, there's starting quarterback getting drafted in the NFL. It's gonna be really tough on Cal to be able to compete in the Pac-12 with them losing their starting quarterback, and all around him, he didn't really have the talent around him to really make a run at the Pac-12 championship. So Cal might have to take a step back again this year until Cal can figure out something to help their program. All right, Oregon State 2-10.
No, I'm surprised they got them winning 4 games this year.
How many games you got them winning?
4 games.
4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go higher. I think I don't think 4. I'm thinking 3, because Oregon State had a terrible year last year. They didn't do really all that good, and I think they gotta try to find something to get that program back up to where it was. They need something. UCLA 9-4.
Give me one more game higher. They're going to win 10 games this year.
I think I'm about good at 9-4. It's hard to say because USC's been so dominant in the Pac-12 South, winning it 3 out of the last 4 years. I'm gonna go with 9 wins for UCLA, and they drop 1 to USC, which.
Hey, I think with what you're saying. I was thinking we're doing USC.
Oh, okay. It was UCLA.
Yeah, no, I'm looking with what you said.
Okay, you going with what I said? 9-4 with UCLA.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another one. USC 8-4.
I gotta win a 10.
I'll agree with you. 10 wins for USC this year, I'm thinking. Even though they're ranked number 22, I think USC should have a pretty good year this year. Utah, they got people saying Utah's a dark horse to win this Pac-12 championship. 8-4, Mike.
I can see that maybe will happen.
I could see them making a run for Utah, but I don't think they're quite there yet to make a run. I got them going a little bit higher, maybe 9-4, and see how they do. But 9-3. God, that's so messed up. 9-3, 8-4. That's about where they at. I kind of agree with the record, but I think they might go one more win. Arizona State 6-6.
Give me I got one 5
5-7. Yeah, I agree with you there. I think 5-7 is where they're at. Arizona 6-6.
they're gonna win 8 games this year.
8 games.
I think so.
Okay. I'm gonna go with 7. I think they're gonna get a little bit better than 6-6. I think they'll get 7-5. Rich Rod knows how to get these teams up there. All right, Colorado 4-8.
They only won 3 games this year.
I agree with you there. I think 3-9 should be their record this year.
Yeah, Colorado. Look at other football, man. They just don't play.
Okay, who's the 2 teams you got in the Pac-12 championship?
What's that?
2 teams you got in the Pac-12 championship.
I'm talking about USC. Well, I don't know yet.
I'm gonna go put Stanford versus USC like it was last year.
I think I'm probably have to do it, but I'm gonna do a little bit of stuff. I can go on to another stuff.
I mean, Althon has Washington over UCLA. I think the North's going to win it again this year. I think you can swap out Stanford and Washington and go back and forth with it. I think Washington has a real good chance, but Stanford's been at the height for so long that I think they'll be able to keep it up, you know?
Yeah.
So give me Stanford and USC. Until I see Washington actually win it, I'm not going to go put them up there. Because Washington, they have come close, but they've failed so many times.
Yeah, well, I scored a lot of good
Yeah, it's you got to see it to believe it. I'm one of those people. So I think Washington will finish second though in the Pac-12 North. I think it's going to be a very tough schedule for some teams to figure out who's going to win and who ain't going to win. It's still too early to predict because we haven't had season open up yet. LSU and UL have kicked off camps already this year. You know, like they picked off football camps, so football's back, baby.
Yeah,
Yep, it's going to be a very fun time. September 3rd, 29 days. Is that right, Mike? Or is it 30?
Mike, you confirm that you will be there.
What?
I said I can confirm I will be there.
You can't confirm or you can confirm?
I can confirm I will be there because it would be only the second weekend of school, so not much schoolwork, and I will be off work, so I will definitely be there at 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they got some people saying we're going to have some heat stroke people going on, but it is a whiteout for UL that game against Boise State, so it's going to be a very hot one at Cajun Field. And it's also being broadcast on the American Sports Network.
Yep.
So it should be a fun time. I think UL and South Alabama also got the American Sports Network on them too. So, Mike, I asked Juicy this last night. Who's your preseason national champion?
Well,
You can about imagine. Okay, wait. Before you answer it, I bet you're gonna guess this one correct. Guess who Juicy picked to win national championship last night?
Alabama.
Nope.
Oh, I know.
LSU. Yep. He picked LSU to win it all. Told him no. It wouldn't surprise me if Alabama went back to back, but I don't think Alabama's gonna win it all this year. I'm starting to dig Clemson a little bit, man. I'm thinking Clemson's gonna have a real good chance this year.
Yeah, but I got a motto, and I stick to the motto. That's the freedom before I can believe it. And Nick Saban took a team that last year had no business being national championship and won national championship. I think it's probably good.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to bet against Nick Saban, but I mean it's still early. I think Clemson could possibly win it. Alabama got him in the playoff. I mean they're too good not to put him in the playoff. All right, so I think we're done with this broadcast, right?
Yeah, I think we covered ground pretty well.
Yeah, we covered everything about. So been 20 minutes into this too. So about the same episode we did last night. I mean, you only can talk about the whole conference so much to where you get blue in the face and everything. But what? Okay, let's get a little bit off topic here. What do you think about Big 12 expansion?
I think it's more to a certain degree. I was thinking about it last night actually when I was watching. I think I was watching Orange being a rookie maybe. I don't think if they expand, they could go all the way to Connecticut. What I was thinking is, and I know they're not going to do it, is Rock, West Virginia, because they're all the way out in the middle of nowhere. All the other teams are right there. And I was thinking if they do that, add a team like Houston, and then you could add, if you wanted to add more teams, just add teams in that area. Don't go all the way up north or something like that. Just expand the area.
Well, they have ECU that's been on Twitter trying to get into the Big 12. And I don't think ECU is going to get in there, Eastern Carolina. You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I said I don't care for all that. That's like too far to be going for.
I was surprised they added West Virginia, to be honest with you, when they did, but
Well, I mean, it makes no sense to me. Why would you have a team so far out and everybody's so close? I mean, all the teams are based in Texas, Oklahoma, but Kansas. I mean, that's probably the closest team away is Kansas.
yep.
So, I mean, I think if anything, they could add, like I said, hey, what they're talking about is talking SMU.
I think Boise State would be a good addition to the conference. Boise State.
Yeah, but they're also kind of full. I mean, they're all the way.
They're in Idaho, but I mean, it makes more sense to add them than, like West Virginia, geographically speaking. You know?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, they could add, who else? I know they have, who all they got in the Mountain West? Mountain West wouldn't be that bad of a conference approach.
Colorado State, because Colorado is one part of Big 12, why not?
I'm surprised North Dakota State ain't in FBS yet.
Yeah, I'm not surprised too that they're not in there yet. I was thinking if anybody would make this game.
But I don't think they would jump to the Big 12. I think they would jump to like the Sun Belt or the American Conference.
If anything, the American Conference.
What?
If anything, it's going to be the Mountain West or the American Conference will jump in.
Yeah, okay, well, since conference expansion has been the hot topic in college football for the last couple of weeks, do you think UL should bolt from the Sun Belt?
Yeah, I mean, they're, in other sports, they're good enough to compete in these, some other sports actually could compete in the Big 12 conference, but they don't need to go that far. But like the American conference, something like that, I mean, they should. Because baseball and everything, they can do it. Football, they can do it. Basketball just exists some years. Football, they can do it some years. So, I mean, it's kind of not something I think that they could do.
Yeah, we'll see what happens though. I mean, it'll all be all over the news if we do it. Anyway, I don't think that UL should go to the Conference USA. It wouldn't make much sense for UL to go to the Conference USA anyway, in my opinion, because it's about the same, you know. Sun Belt and Conference USA about the same prestige of conference now. I think American would be where UL would go, if anywhere. All right, now we had enough talk of that. I got Stanford winning the Pac-12 again this year, so that's my pick for conference champion. Mike, who's your conference champion?
USC.
USC. All right, sounds good. All right. that'll be all for the Fishbowl Radio here today. Thank y'all for tuning in. We had a great time doing this episode, huh, Mike?
Just be back on again next week. I know one time I didn't come back on. Something positive. I'll be back on next week.
Yeah, we're going to try to do another conference preview. Who we think is going to win. We did Clemson, so we wasn't going to do the ACC or the SEC because we did Alabama and LSU. Or even the Sun Belt because we did UL. Next week might do the Mountain West or the Big 12. Big 12 probably the big one we'll probably cover next week. So it's starting to creep up a little bit here. It's going to be a very fun conference preview shows we got going on here. Which I think we should have did this starting last year. You agree, Mike? We'll see how it all goes. Thank y'all for tuning in. You hope you have a great and wonderful day. Follow us on Twitter at Fishbowl Nation, and you can like our page on Facebook. The search of Fishbowl Radio, and you'll find us there. You can listen to us on iHeartRadio. We are very present in iHeartRadio, and every episode that we air on Spreaker goes to iHeartRadio as well. So it'll be very good for our fans to listen there. We have a website. Fishbowlradio.wibbly.com if you want to keep track of everything we got going on there. We got some videos on YouTube you can watch if you can't listen to iHeartRadio or you don't want to download the app. Just get on YouTube and you can listen to our episodes there. We are very happy to do this for what we do, and it should be a very fun time, all of us. And I hope you have a great, wonderful day. Take care, everybody.